Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Thunder. This is Two Dads React. And yes, this is my fourth live stream today. This is my fourth live stream today. I had let's see here, I had a Car Thunder this morning. Then I had a Tenor Talks. Then I just finished my concert, club date, which was a 6:15 to 9:30. And y'all can check those out, of course. And then now, Two Dads React. And we've been on a bit of a hiatus with Two Dads React. I think we didn't do a show the last couple of weeks. It's just been really, really crazy. Lots of stuff going on. But we're going to make up for lost time. We've got a great show for you today. Today's show, toxic chemical spills and more train derailments. What is going on with these train derailments? So, me and God rules, we're going to get into it. Let's go. Warning. Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. What's happening, man?
Just putting links in the Twitter and stuff, this live stream.
Great.
My
That's what's up.
awesome Twitter that's not going anywhere. I'm actually going to make a new Twitter because it's still messed up and not really going anywhere. So plan on putting everybody over on my new one eventually. Maybe April. I'm going to do that. You do anything on Twitter?
I mean, I have a Twitter. I post a bunch of stuff. This is live streaming over there right now.
I'm wondering if because when did you start doing it over there? When did you start using Twitter?
A long time ago. I don't have very many followers though. I have
Yeah.
like 500 followers.
No, no, no. But I mean, were you saying stuff you shouldn't say over there like years ago?
Uh, uh, not really. Maybe
Oh, okay.
prior to the new ownership, if that's what you're referring
Oh,
to.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I've streamed certain programs, but I always delete the stream. It plays over there, and then I pull it down.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Well, I mean, because I see all these channels and accounts over there, and like Elon Musk has owned it for how long now, and he still hasn't been able to fix it. It's been like, how long has he owned it for? Like 6 months or a year? He still hasn't fixed it fully. Just
mm,
amazing, you know.
yeah.
So, but yeah, at any rate. So, what's up, man? How you been?
I'm all right. We didn't the last couple of weeks we didn't do end up doing a Thunder's thoughts. I'm sorry, what am I saying? A two dads react. I don't know where I'm at. This is my fourth live stream today.
You look
We
tired.
didn't
I
do
was
a
thinking you look kind of. I thought you looked kind of tired. I thought I was tired, man. I'm looking at you. I'm like, I think he's more tired than I am.
well.
You
I
know.
just got done playing a what is it, a 3 hour gig,
I
and
don't know how
the
you
three
do it,
hour
man.
gig that was one of my streams. So
I can't handle doing that much stuff.
eh,
I'd be on the floor.
nah, it's cool. I've been looking forward to this show. Had some good shows earlier, but I've really been looking forward to this show because um, there's a lot of crazy, weird stuff going on in the world.
Yeah.
Um, and you know how we do the show for the audience. I'm going to share some things, and God Rules is going to share some things, and we're going to go back and forth with some different topics. But the main sort of event, the main topic will be this sort of toxic chemical spills and more train derailments and whatnot. Sort of stuff that appears to be um, stuff getting covered up. Maybe some stuff could be more intentional than we think it is. All these dying animals in certain areas. It seems like what's going on with the people, if the animals are dying, if thousands of animals are dying, then what's happening to the people in those areas. It's a lot of stuff that's very nebulous.
Yeah, kind of true.
So here, I'll pull something up now. Let's see here. Yeah, let's start with this. Here, let me get on over to my screen here.
All
I
right,
think
I
it's
just
this
posted
one.
it on YouTube too. All right, there we go.
Oops, that's the wrong one. There it is.
Oh,
Let's get rid of this here. Um, so what this is, I'm gonna tell you what this is about.
all right.
So, we see these paternity shows frequently. You got the Maury thing. This is this woman. What is it? I guess this is called paternity court. She's in paternity court. Um, you've got you've got all kinds of stuff going on. We're finding out more and more that uh, a very high percentage, a very high percentage of these tests are coming back. You are not the father, and it's such a it's obviously a shame. It's terrible for the kids. It's terrible for the dad that has been thinking that this is his kid for all this time.
Yeah,
But
true.
one of the strategies uh, that, and we'll see it right here, that is being used is even when it comes back as this guy is not the father, the woman will actually claim that she didn't sleep with anyone else. Okay, so this is what
Okay.
this is the kind of stuff that we're dealing with. So let's
All
take a
right.
listen to this, and and not in like nod or something if you can hear this.
In the case of Hawthorne versus Brown, when it comes to 2-year-old Chase Hawthorne, it has been determined by this court. Mr. Brown, you are not the father.
Is that a joke?
No.
It's not a joke.
Oh, boy.
The DNA does not lie and it does not joke. Mr. Brown is not your child's biological father.
But I didn't have sex with nobody else. He the only person I had sex with.
Well, in this courtroom, that really means nothing. It's about the DNA. I mean, we often say, I'm the judge, but the DNA is the jury. The DNA is gonna come with the verdict. It's gonna be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And you here, so you can let go of that lie you put in your head. What are you gonna do for Chase?
Find out who his father is. Because apparently he's not it.
Okay. So she said it wasn't. She's only been with him, but then she goes
Yeah,
on.
she's claiming immaculate conception.
No. But after that, you could see in her eyes that she knew. You could tell she's lying just in her eyes. But then she also said, "Well, I got to go figure out who it was," because then it obviously wasn't just one other guy. So
Yeah.
she
Well, here,
admitted it
I
with
got
her
another
eyes,
one.
you know.
I've got another one of these. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. Is it that
Multiple
one?
men is what it was. Multiple.
No. Oh yeah. That's the thing about this. I
She could
mean,
have
I
been
got some good stuff.
sleepwalking. Yeah, she could have been sleepwalking or something, you know, and
Yeah,
it just ended up in some other dude's house. Who knows, right? I mean,
I got some really good stuff today. No, not that one. Hold up here. Okay, yeah. Okay, here we go. This is a good one too. Let's see. Let's go ahead and play this. I think this loops back around. Okay, here we go.
I'm very sorry. Miss Curtis,
I wasn't with anybody else.
Obviously, you were with someone else.
Jesus, Lord.
Okay, so this is the second time paternity court. They're trying the same strategy. I wasn't with anybody else. Yeah, obviously you were with someone else. That's how the results can come back that way. I don't even know what to say to that. Do you think that's going to be a winning strategy?
I don't know. I guess maybe they're just thinking someone might believe them. Maybe the guy. Maybe they just want the guy to hang around. So
Okay,
got to deny it, you know.
And here's another thing, you know.
Or she knows who it is. It knows that guy ain't going to do anything, right? He ain't going to support the kid, right? Yeah. And
there's this thing too, like, this is also a strategy that they use when they, they're on that show Cheaters.
Oh yeah, I used to watch that show.
So now there's another version. It's sort of a different version of that kind. It's the same kind of concept, but they just basically they meet and it's like a room's got a big, like desk, and they do like a lie detector test, like right there. And the strategy is the woman will try to tell the guy, these things, that's BS, that the lie detector is wrong, I mean, and it's not just, see, the thing is we know that a lie detector test, there is a possible way to beat it. For if you're like a sociopath or something, you can beat the machine. And also it's possible to get a false positive or a positive, negative or whatever. Like you're actually telling the truth. You actually didn't do anything, and the results show that it's like on the cusp. It's like in the gray area. So that is possible. However, what I'm finding is that the usual strategy, the go-to move, and I've seen dozens and dozens of these videos, the go-to move is that the woman will start saying, are you going to believe that? Or are you going to believe me? I thought you said you loved me. This is how you prove that you love me, is that you're doubting me, right? So this is the strategy. And I'm always, I want men to be armed with the information, like I want them to know that these are usual strategies. And because they are denying, and because in the face, even the face of DNA evidence, of lie detector test evidence, when they'll continue to still lie and try to convince you that there's something wrong with you for not believing them. I saw this one. I'll just say this one last thing, and then let's have you show something.
All right.
And this is an older video. It's probably from 2-3 years ago, where this guy, he calls his wife or whatever, and he tells her, look, the kid is not mine. Who you've been telling me that is mine is not mine. And she goes through all of this rigmarole. Why would you say that? Why would you even go and test? Why would you even go do DNA testing? What does that say about you? What does that say about your inability to trust? Now, notice that she's talking past the fact that she's been lying to him the whole time. He has been supporting, taking care of, treating as if this was his kid for years. Okay? She's glossing over that. There's another clip, I don't know that I have it here, where so the woman's in court, the guy's in court, it's paternity court, and it comes back that you are not the father. She all passes out and stuff, and they're all over there, catering to her and stuff like this and like this. And she's all, oh, it's all this, Now, who really got screwed over in this scenario, the two people that really got screwed over are the guy that has been paying for this kid that is not his because she tricked him. And then also the kid. Those are the actual victims in this situation. But in that court, because she's all collapsed and stuff, they're like asking her, are you okay? Are you going to be all right? Like this. And I'm like,
yeah, it's like everything else in society these days. It's a victim mentality, just fake victim mentality. While you're actually the predator,
Right. This is right. Like I couldn't believe it. I was like, goodness gracious. So anyhow, what do you got for us, man?
Okay, so we got lots of stuff going on right now. Actually,
oops,
numerous things. We got numerous train derailments. That's one. We got one in Minnesota. We got one in North Dakota. This was actually a couple days ago, I think. We got something going on with Amazon. Amazon Whole Foods. They got. I think it's 6 or 7 automated Whole Food stores where you have to scan a QR code as you go in. And like in Seattle, they even have it to where you use your hand to scan in. So they're like starting to do stuff like that. And of course, obviously, if they start doing it like this, then you don't need employees. And then on top of that, it's like becoming less and less, you have less and less privacy, all that kind of stuff. And it's more of a control type of thing. But so Amazon Whole Foods is doing that. You got, like I said, numerous train derailments. Let's see here. And actually, yeah, there was one in North Dakota. It was 70 car train derailment, uh, spills, of course, materials. And the one that was in Minnesota, it was ethanol, I think it was. And it was in the city too. This one was not directly in the city, but the one that happened today in Minnesota was in the city itself, and they had to essentially vacate out like 1,000 people, I think it was. In Ohio, they vacated out, I think, 5,000 people. So in this one that happened today, it was 1,000 people. But of course, these do happen regularly. But the thing is it just seems to be on a different scale in frequency and the types. They're not just seemingly random, and they tend to have something inside them that's hazardous in some way, shape, or form. That's probably why we're seeing so many stories about it. Usually, when they have a train derailment, it's not really a big deal because it's a few. It's just some random cars that don't really have anything hazardous in them or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, what's really the big story today, actually the biggest story, and these aren't even the biggest stories. The biggest one is the dollar. I've seen a ton of videos about the dollar today. And what's going on is a number of government parks, recreation centers, just anywhere that's a government related type of museum, they're refusing cash now. That's that's just happening in the next couple of days. They apparently passed some law about that, and that's not actually the big thing. There's something far bigger than that even happened. The first major oil purchase between France and China without the dollar. So, of course, a lot of people are like, who cares, right? But they don't understand that what this is actually doing is the dollar is only backed by oil contracts. It went from the gold standard, where it had gold backing the dollar in the up to the 1970s. We went off that standard and they replaced it with oil contracts, where essentially that's why we always go fight wars with oil, right? Is because oil was backing the dollar. Now all these countries are jumping ship. They're saying we don't need the dollar anymore. The yuan is actually starting to take almost equal reserve status to the dollar. The yuan would be in the east and the dollar in the west. And what's going to happen is there's like 3 times more dollars outside of America than in America. So when they stop using the dollar like this, it's all coming back here. And some are saying that what's going to end up happening is the dollar is going to be half the value by the end of this year.
Mm.
And already we lost 10% of the dollar's value from the beginning of this year till now. And I can show it too. If you go look at gold and silver prices, they're both up 10%. And they're talking about gold and silver being double priced. Experts are saying this by the end of this year. And it's because I call them the Ruslans. They're actually doing deals. They're working with China. They're using the yuan as their reserve currency. They're actually creating separate stock markets, or they have their separate stock market, and they're using the yuan instead of the dollar. They used to use the dollar all the time. So the dollar is not needed anymore. And what we were exporting before was the dollar. That's what we were exporting. You know what I'm saying? Like, we weren't exporting a bunch of goods, really. We were exporting the dollar for oil purchases. So now once that's gone, our dollar becomes much, much less, is worth a lot less. And there's even some big channels. Heresy Financial. He's like very, very, like, he doesn't say anything like out there. He doesn't say anything that's controversial. He's just all by the book. I'll show you what I'm talking about. He just said, and he said this, Heresy Financial, this guy's like totally straight shooter, and he's just pure math type of dude with finances. And he put out a video saying that we're going to have hyper, of course, inflation in 90 days. That's what he's saying right here. And this guy's like
Mm.
straight by the book. He doesn't ever make, exaggerated claims, nothing. So that guy's saying it even. And I've been saying it for a while. So, honestly, I'm kind of curious what's going to end up happening with all that. But, that's on top of all the other things going on. I actually have lots of other stuff here as well. But I mean, I'm just kind of, wondering really what's going to end up happening with the dollar this year. Hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds terrible. I mean, I can totally see. I mean, it's obviously significant that France, and China, the buying oil. I mean, without the dollar. That's obviously obviously important. Um,
Let me see if I can find it. I think I have it here. Okay, this is just a list of stuff that's happened in the last couple weeks, apparently. Let's see if I can show it better on the screen. There we go. Saudi Arabia considers accepting the yuan for oil sales. China and France complete first LNG trade using yuan. Ruslan's consider using yuan as reserve currency. Saudi Arabia is our pit bull, or essentially our protector of the dollar, and they stopped. Saudi Arabia partners with China to build refinery for $83.7 billion in yuan. So they're using the yuan now for everything. Brazil, and it's called the BRIC nations. You got Brazil, India, what is it? Brazil, India, China, and South Africa. They're all sort of like the emerging economies, and they're sort of taking on the West, while the West is seemingly going to the wayside. The percentage of global reserves in U.S. dollars is down from 72% in 1999 to 59% now. So the dollar's dominance is decreasing, and this is what we actually export. So that's just to give you an idea. And of course, this is actually not the title of the video. The title of the video was about these train derailments and oil spills. There's actually one in Philadelphia. Where is that? Let me show you that. Yeah, here we go. So in Philadelphia, there was a spill into Lake Delaware. Let's see. But even though there was a spill into Lake Delaware, or I'm not Lake Delaware, Delaware River. Why did I say lake? Delaware River, which is where they get their water, their drinking water from. And they said that they had like a few days of tap water that'll still be safe to drink, even though all these chemicals went into the Delaware River, and that's where they actually get their water for drinking water. But apparently it takes a couple days for it to get to your actual sink. You know what I mean? So they have obviously a bunch of water that was from days before that were in the whatever the company's called that handles the water facility. You know what I mean? For that city. So, but nobody trusted it. So people are essentially out. Where is it at? There's a ton of people out trying to buy up all the water bottles, or just all the bottled water. Yeah, here we go. This is it. They're basically long lines, and they're selling out all the bottled water in Philadelphia. So as a result, but so that's what was going on with that. At any rate, so some of those stories.
I've got something. I've got something related. If you want me to show it.
Yeah. Go ahead, man. I need to trying to get this thing off the screen.
All right. So here we go.
Yeah, go over to another screen there. There we go.
Here we go.
Trying to get my thing all going here.
So here we go. So we've got another Ohio.
Another one? So there was even another one in Ohio?
Ohio River train derailment, right? So another one. Okay. Do you still think this is a coincidence? Okay, right. So let's play this.
Barges, as in plural, slamming into a dam on the Ohio River. This is all happening at a dam near Louisville, Kentucky. Emergency officials say 3 barges got loose, hitting the structure. You can see one of the barges partially underwater. Louisville Emergency Management saying one barge is carrying 1,400 tons of methanol. It's a naturally occurring chemical, but it is incredibly toxic if consumed. Louisville's water department saying that the wreck is downriver from the city's water intake. Hazmat crews are monitoring the situation.
This is a different one? Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that one was right in the city on land. So this is in the water. When was this?
Man, it seems like it was just a few days ago.
Oh, okay. That's
so
funny, man. Well, actually, there was one there's actually a number of them recently. Yeah, so I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, but you heard the thing about the methanol. So with the methanol in the water, now they're claiming that. Yeah.
Oh, so this one methanol though, or what is that one?
Yeah, this one's methanol. Let's see. Here we go.
1,400 tons of methanol. It's a naturally occurring chemical, but it.
Yeah, 14. Yeah.
That's funny. And then the one in Minnesota is ethanol, which is also hazardous. And that was today. So that was like a couple days. So like every day there's a new one, and they're all spilling stuff in the water. You got Philadelphia had something spill in the water in the Delaware River. What is going on here, man? This is just really crazy.
Yeah. All right, so I digress. I gotta show this. We're talking about the paternity stuff. Here we go.
You are not the father.
He's like doing flips and stuff. He's doing flips, man. Oh, that is funny.
Sorry,
actually.
I don't know. That might have been in poor taste.
It's like he won some event or something.
Yeah, it might be in poor taste. It might be in poor taste, but let's show it again. Just you
You are not the father.
Dude, that's so messed up, dude. What the is that a real show? Or is that just a joke?
Yeah, that's the
He's
Maury
doing
show.
like flips, man.
Yeah, it's the Maury show.
Oh yeah, Maury Povich.
Yep.
Dude, that guy was like doing a million of those back in like the 90s and 2000s, I think it was. Wasn't he? Was a Springer doing that too?
Okay, so we've got a Kamala Harris. This is a kind of this is old, but this stuff is coming back because there's some the administration is under fire and there's some weird stuff that's going on. She just went to Africa or whatever to try to tell folks that they need to be basically more what is it basically they need to be more
Africans?
open to basically they need to be more open to alternative lifestyles and stuff like this. So
she's
but anyhow,
not even African, dude. She's not even African.
No, she's not. But none of that matters. None of that matters.
But it's just like Biden telling you. It's like Biden telling you, you ain't. You know what? If you don't vote for me, it's like the same thing, dude, isn't it?
Yeah. But anyhow, so check it out. This is we've seen this before.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place.
They hate her now, Tulsi Gabbard.
Oh yeah, no, they don't. They really.
She's a betrayer. She betrayed him.
Yeah, they really.
She's no longer a Democrat, right? She's no longer a Democrat, I think.
Yeah, I think she went independent.
Yeah, she's also like singing Christian songs with her parents on her channel. I follow her on YouTube a little bit. Tulsi Gabbard. Yeah, she's pretty cool. I like her.
Okay, we're talking about we're talking about the dollar and everything. So this is related to money. It's about a mistake that was made. So this is interesting. Here we go.
What would you do?
Asking the question, what would you do if you checked your bank account and suddenly found out you were a millionaire? That happened to a former Louisiana sheriff's dispatcher, and instead of notifying the bank, well, she quickly moved the cash into another account, used it to buy a home and an SUV. Helen Spadoni, who you see here, was arrested for theft, and tonight is facing a lawsuit from Charles Schwab after she ignored several of their attempts, they say, to contact her and get the money back. Schwab meant to transfer $82.56 into a Fidelity brokerage account, services account, but the company instead transferred $1,205,619, court records said. So, Robert, their mistake.
Does not mean you have a legal right to that amount of money. Even best case scenario, if you were able to keep it, good luck explaining to the IRS where $1.2 million came from and paying the taxes on that. This is no different than finding someone's wallet and deciding to keep it when they ask for it back. Or if a Brinks truck accidentally dropped money off at your door, it does not mean that you are legally entitled to it.
Money back. But the law is on her side, believe it or not. And I think it's going to trump that agreement that she signed, that she probably didn't even know what she signed, probably didn't even know what she read. But real quick, theft, felony theft is the charge. That means that this woman had to deprive money of someone else without their consent. Charles Schwab sent her the money. So that charge is going to get dropped.
No.
The last charge
No,
against
see,
her
this
is
was
bank
BS.
wire fraud. Again, she has to show an intent to deprive Charles Schwab of money. Last time I checked, Charles Schwab made a mistake and sent the money to her.
Right.
So in the real
I can
world,
tell
she
you what
might
happened.
walk free and
tell
she
you what
might have
happened,
$1.2 million, and she might have a wrongful termination case against the sheriff's department for firing her.
Yep.
They shouldn't have done that.
Actually, I can tell you probably what happened. My wife does this type of stuff. She does these
Yeah.
transactions. I can tell you what happened. And this
Sure.
this may sound kind of crazy, but it's a employee that didn't do their job right that transferred the money to her. They're supposed to maybe do transfer the money to some other person, and they didn't pay attention while they were doing their work and transfer it to the wrong person. It's basically an incompetent employee. And my wife's having to deal with this a little bit lately, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions per se, but they're trying to hire a foreign company to replace, you know what I mean? They're trying to hire foreign people to do the work, and they're not doing a good job. And some of the stuff is happening like that. So I don't think that lady didn't, I don't know if she did something wrong, but I don't think any of the stuff they're saying, she didn't steal money. They gave it to her, and it's their fault. And it's because they had a bad employee. Maybe they're trying to cut corners and get a cheaper employee that didn't know what they're doing right. You know what I mean? It could be anything like that. They didn't train their employee right, or they just got a bad employee or whatever. So it's not her fault. She didn't steal the money, but I guess she knew she wasn't supposed to have the money and she transferred it, but that doesn't mean she's like stealing, and she shouldn't go to prison for it and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. Right.
And she may not actually have to give the money back. That's what the other
that's another
lawyer
thing.
was saying.
I understand, they made a mistake, and probably the right thing to do would be to send it back. But, the fact is she didn't steal it. The stuff that they're accusing her of is a lie. It's just flat out a lie. And it's probably because they were cutting corners that didn't even happen in the first place. It's their fault. They were trying to cut corners, maybe hired some cheaper employees. They didn't even do their job right. They weren't trained right or whatever. That's just my thoughts on it. But so she should get her job back too. I think that's kind of BS, man. So
all right.
I know
Speaking of money,
if you're in a sheriff's department, though, it doesn't look good, but
right.
Yeah. So
speaking of money, play this and then we'll head back over to you. But I actually played this some months ago on Thunder's Thoughts. But this deserves another play.
Like sparring ball, let me tell you something, man. My wife put a whole $100 of mine in that box that I did not tell her. But you convinced me to leave it in there. God gonna do this.
Okay, but what we're talking about, we're not only talking about that 100, we're talking about how your giving has really not met the level that it's supposed to. You're really not tithing. And we really would prefer that all of our members tithe when they come to the church.
Let me tell you something. I give $20 a week. Mm-hmm. Some of them folks putting $2, $3
but see, you make more than $200.
I feel like you're targeting me.
Oh, no, we're not.
Because you know me, I make a few dollars.
Can you lower your voice?
Lower your voice?
Yeah.
This ain't no lie, bear.
You getting a little offensive there, bro.
Oh, getting a little offensive?
Yes.
I'm not to be offensive.
You ain't gonna have that in you.
Yeah, see, the thing is, Charles don't like people raising their voice at his pastor, Hey.
Y'all got the right one.
Not only
just let him know he dealing with the right one.
Okay, well let's let the elephant in the room.
I understand his position. Yeah. I'm getting into the position in front of my face right now.
Yeah, well, the elephant in the room is this, and that.
Elephant in the room.
Yeah, the elephant in the room is that.
Glad I'm alive.
Okay, well, we have to deal with the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the
Pastor,
room.
I'm just be honest with you. Look, I'm not finna come up here and give y'all all my money that I make every month. I'm just sorry. I be fair.
Well, we're not looking for you to give
I put $20 a week, and then sometimes I feel good. I have
$20 a week is like giving a dollar.
Can I say something? Is that your 10% of your earnings?
That's my business. That's what it is. You get your 10%. You get your 10%.
I wrote it down what you made.
Look here.
I wrote it what you made.
She wrote what you make, and see, it does not reach.
Well, I got to just find me. I'm not finna let y'all attack me.
Well, we're not.
I know robbery, strong arm.
Let me
You ain't finna rob me, and I'm agree to it.
Well, let's talk about robbery. In the book of Malachi, it talks about, will a man rob God? He said, yea, ye have robbed me in your tithes and offerings. That's where you rob. That's where robbery happens.
Man, let me tell you something. I really don't even believe in the 10%. I'm gonna just be honest with you. I think that was man-made. You feel me? Because back then, when they came up with 10%, ain't nobody had jobs. So where the money come up with 10% at?
Who told you folk didn't have jobs?
What job was? Everybody paying everybody with apples and oranges and bananas.
They had jobs. They had livestock. They had
what black folks you know had livestock?
Don't have to.
I think he said livestock and he said lifestyle or something, right?
No. He said livestock. No, he said livestock. But one thing, now on Thunder's Thoughts, I played actually the entire video. There's more of this, and he actually makes some really good points. He was talking about how, people, they basically had produce. So when you talk about giving 10%, they were talking about giving 10% of their produce, because money was not really something that a lot of people had. They were still bartering largely.
That was Israel too. That was Israel you're talking about, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm saying even into the early church times, we're still talking the same sort of dynamic. We're talking about that there be food. There might be food in my house, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're actually talking about something literal here, and I think a lot of churches have.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying food and things that you generate yourself, not money.
Yeah. So if I have so if I'm generating food for my family,
right,
and I take 10% of that food that I'm growing out of the earth, and I bring it up to the church, and I say, hey, here you go. That's 10%.
It's kind of like when you have that Sunday meal at the church or something like that. You know what I mean? Kind of like that. But I guess you're saying all throughout the week too, or something. But
so that's interesting. So that wasn't in the video. But another thing that's interesting is they are really trying to bully this guy into into giving more than what he's
I like this reaction. It was really funny reaction he had.
And it just seems to me like the pastor, they have more important things to be doing than to try to corner this guy into trying to make him, guilt him into giving more.
Oh, got on TikTok there. So, didn't look good for the church, I don't think.
Yeah. I think the original clip I had was a YouTube clip. But yeah,
it doesn't work out too well when you try to do that, when you try to guilt people. I think most people don't work with. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, yeah. So what do I got? I talked about so many things already. Oh yeah, this is interesting. So this whole actually we're talking about TikTok, right? So let me tell you something rather curious about this whole TikTok ban that they're talking about. They're trying to slip some extra stuff into that bill like they usually do. And what they're trying to slip in would potentially make VPNs illegal, virtual private networks. You know what a VPN is, right?
Yeah.
So what it would do is it would take away your privacy with regards to things you want to do online. So they would actually potentially even have jail time or even huge fines because you're using a VPN and you happen to get on TikTok when you're using a VPN and they catch you doing it. So, and of course, the whole point of VPNs is so that you're anonymous, right? Yep. And I've used VPNs for 10 years, but I don't use them that much anymore. I used to use them in the old days more so, but I use them once in a while still. And I think I have 2 VPNs currently. But I had actually more than that before. I think I had like 5 at one time, the highest I had at one time. But for doing eBay and other things, I used to use it for eBay and stuff like that, PayPal. But of course, now it's like they're trying to force you to have all your information on each website so that if you happen to say or do something they don't like, they can ban you, and then you can't make a new account. You see what I mean? And with VPNs, you're able to make a new account, but now they've made it like, for example, with PayPal, you used to be able to make VPN, just make an anonymous PayPal account. But because of how the law is, how the government has, they used the Patriot Act at first to report money that you made in a year. And now it's gotten to so ridiculous now that if you even pay someone $600, I think it was 600, wasn't it $600? You have to do a 10, was it a 1090 or whatever it is, a 1099?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. So if you even pay, before it was like a lot more than that. I mean, you'd have like 10,000 transactions or $20,000 or something like that was what it was like maybe 10 years ago. Now it's, if you even pay $600 to someone to do some work for you, you got to make a 1099. The government wants every little dime you make. And so it's like they want to get all your money. They want to have you all, what do you do with cattle when you get them into like I forgot what the word is, not curtailed. I can't remember the word. They want to corral you. Is that the word? Corral you into all, into wherever they want to put you so that they have essentially their eyes on you at all times. Oh, this is your PayPal. Oh, you're naughty. You liked the wrong guy. And we don't like that. So we're going to just cancel your account. And of course, with PayPal, they were trying to, they even put some weird fine print. I don't know if you heard about that story. They made some ridiculous fine print where they were going to charge you like $2,000 if you had any activity outside of PayPal that they found to be hate related. And of course, their definition of hate could be anything. I mean, like you like Trump or something stupid like that. You know what I mean? So they actually had some fine print on PayPal. Did you hear about that? So they're doing weird, crazy stuff like that now. And then of course they got called out for it. And yeah, fine for misinformation. That's what it was. $2,500 for accidentally saying something they deem misinformation on another website, not PayPal. Okay, like you got a PayPal account over on Twitter and you say something they think is misinformation, which who's the one that decides that? And then they'll charge you $2,500. Just charge you it, Hey, you got a PayPal account. You don't like what you said. Give us $2,500. And look at that lady, that black lady. She got $1 million given to her, and they're trying to put her in prison for accidentally giving her money. But then these guys, you just say something they don't like, and they can charge you $2,500. And that's not theft?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like retarded. Well, the retarded is not the right word. I'm not politically correct anymore. So you're not supposed to say retarded. What would be the right word? Mentally challenged? I don't know. These people are mentally challenged. I guess maybe that's the way to put it. So that's my thoughts. But what do you think, man?
Yeah, I actually was aware of that $2,500 fine thing. That's
and they want to put this black lady in prison because they screwed up and gave her money. You know what I mean? That's like your fault. It's your fault, man. You should be going to prison for being an idiot. That's what should be happening, man. She shouldn't go to prison because you gave her money. You know what I mean? How can someone charge you $2,500 because they didn't like what you said? That's so dumb. You know what I mean? Like that's insane. Like Sean, you said something I didn't like. You got to give me $2,500 now.
It's like the swear jar. It's the swear jar, but but they're already linked to your bank account so that they just automatically
got your
suck
bank account
$2,500
hostage. Yeah, they got their bank account hostage, right? That's why what I used to do with PayPal is I would set up I had Wells Fargo back then. I would set up a secondary account that they couldn't pull money out of. It wouldn't allow any money to be pulled out of it. All they could do is deposit. And I purposely did that. So if they ever tried to do that to me, because they actually did it to me once, it was a long time ago. So I purposely made accounts like that so they couldn't get any money at all. That's what you got to do, man. So at any rate.
Yeah, it's messed up. And it's interesting too because with this folks not accepting cash, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, at the parks and stuff.
Yeah, so with them not accepting cash, what it does is it gives more power to a PayPal, because if you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to get offline, I'm not going to deal with X, Y, and Z. If they don't allow you to do cash, then you still got to play ball. You still got to be plugged into the matrix.
Yeah, it was actually on this channel here. 3 days, everything changes for the US dollar. I just put a video out on it as well. They're talking about it in this video, but I don't know if you want me. I think I can skip this ad and show you real quick.
Sure.
Where was it at?
Here, you got to move the window around.
Yeah, okay. Let me do that real quick.
There you
go. Cost of going cashless at U.S. national parks as many switch to plastic only. Increasingly, U.S. national parks are switching to cashless payment for entrance fees and other charges. And we've seen this with entertainment, like water parks and a lot of places like that. They have like, I went to one, was it Calamari? I can't remember which one it was, but like no cash. Like they have stores, you couldn't even give them cash in the store. Nothing. No cash anywhere. And I think Cedar Point's like that too now. No cash at all either. I don't know. I don't like that either. It just seems messed up. It's like they're trying to get you away from cash. And I mean, honestly, it's already monopoly money, but then they want to put it in digital form. So it's like digital monopoly money. You know what I mean? They could just erase it anytime they want or whatever, so that's why you should go buy gold and silver, folks. Like I said, man, maybe you should put a link in the description for your gold and silver. Sean, if you got any like that, but yeah, I recommend gold and silver. Honestly, because you're going to see it go up double in price, and you're going to see your dollar, you're going to see stuff get a lot more expensive in the stores by the end of this year, I think. So,
man, that's like freaking scary too, because so many of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and are they're barely holding onto the edge. And so that kind of stuff is it's messed up. And then of course, that'll be a reason. So then the politicians will be like, especially the Democrats, they'll be like, look, we're the ones that actually care for you. Look, we'll give you another stimulus. We give you some more checks. We'll give you some more money because now you need it because we screwed your money. Well, we screwed your money up. Now we'll give you a little bit more money so you don't totally fall off the edge of the earth. We'll give you a little bit more money, and then they get to grab more power.
Well, they also get a lot of that money, that the stimulus money, only 40% went to us. Like 60% went to big businesses and their friends.
Yep.
And that's why we're right now having inflation, is because of those stupid stimulus checks. Seriously, that's actually a big reason. And because they stopped the economy, because, oh no, you might get something. So they stopped the entire economy because they did that too. Those two things are why we're in the mess we're in right now. That's my opinion, at least.
All right, here, let's say I got some more stuff here.
All right.
Let's see here. I wanted to show, is this the one? No, that ain't the one. That's not the one. Is it that one? Okay, yeah. This is one I wanted to show. Let's get rid of this one. So this is interesting because this just brings up a certain, okay, hold up here. Okay, okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. This brings up a certain thing, this idea about having male guards in female prisons or female guards in male prisons. It disproportionately ends up bad, right? The female guards, they're getting knocked up by guys that are in the prison. The female prisoners are getting, they have a certain kind of influence that they can exert over the guy, because because they're women and he's a young or middle-aged guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So here, let's take a look at this.
I
need search, Daddy.
All right, ladies. You're in classroom D13A. Let's find our way.
I'm on my way, baby.
I'm sure you do.
I need search.
Yeah. So
wasn't there a story recently about that? I heard about some story. My wife told me. I think it was a female guard that got knocked up by some guy. I think it was like a couple days ago. She told me that.
Dude, this happens all the time. This happens all the time. It happens all the time. So, and then here's the other thing, and that will segue us into this next video I'm going to play. The other thing is, so now, at least in certain locations in the United States, men that say they identify as women can get put in female prisons.
That's what it was. That it was a guy. It had something to do with that too. I think there was a story like that also, where it was a transgender guy that was saying he was a woman, and then he ended up like getting women pregnant or something like that. Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. I this stuff is just totally ridiculous. It's straight clown world. Let's see here. No,
I think there was two stories. I think there's one about both. There's one about a female guard that got knocked up by some prisoners, and then there's the other one with the transgender.
Okay, here we go. So here, check this out.
Wow, here we are trying to figure out what a woman is. It's such a strange time to be alive. So on social media, if you haven't seen today, there is a video kind of going viral. There is this alleged woman that is masturbating in a women's bathroom. So let me clarify. Sorry. This woman has a penis, and she is stroking it in a woman's bathroom. And there's a woman here. If you haven't seen it, guys, it's on Twitter. There's a woman here washing her hands. So if you can make sense of this for me, would you be okay with this? Would you be okay with a man dressed as a woman masturbating in the mirror in a bathroom, in a women's bathroom, and call that man a woman? Because this is where we are right now. We, as people, are starting to recognize you are falling for a ploy within political correctness, and we are urging you to stand for truth. Because if you don't, my children, our children, are subject to your failure. I have an 8-year-old. If this woman was my 8-year-old, if by chance my 8-year-old went into this restroom while I was patiently waiting outside for her, and there's a grown man stroking his penis around my daughter, what do you think I should do as a father whose duty is protecting my children? You're not doing it. Are you doing it, Sheriff? Because you are obligated to detain a man when he goes into a woman's bathroom, are you not? You know what to do. There's no question about it. You need to establish an ordinance to prevent this from happening in this city. Thank you.
There's a video of a guy who gets punched by a transgender on YouTube, and when the police find out it's a transgender, they want to arrest her or him or whatever you want to call. And so I'm thinking the same is the case here. So like, oh, they get like a free pass to do whatever they want, including this messed up stuff. And I mean, South Park made a cartoon about this like a long time ago. I think it was like years ago. This is the exact same thing. Like, being able to go into the bathroom and do whatever they want because they couldn't get. I don't know if you saw that or not, that clip, but
Yep, I saw it.
Yeah.
Now it's so. See, this is I.
Back in the old days, he'd get his ass handed to him. Pretty much, he'd be beat to a pulp. Pretty much, and no one would care. Now they care. Oh no, it's a woman. You beat a woman up. That was doing something he shouldn't have been doing in the first place, right? But yeah, in the old days, that's what would have happened. Back when we were kids, they would have beat him up. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah, and the thing,
Get
so
arrested
here's the
them.
thing. Here's the thing. You don't have to, I don't condone violence. I don't think anybody should,
I'm just
be
telling you what would have
bullying against.
happened back then. That's what would have happened back then. My
Well, no, I
uncle was,
understand. I get that, but what I'm saying
yeah,
is,
that's how it
you
would have
can
been.
acknowledge that there was stuff that was going on that not was not appropriate. In the past, with respect to treating certain people a certain way or violence and all that kind of stuff. We can say that. We can acknowledge that. And also we can have an issue with, some dude dressed like that is identifying as a woman doing weird stuff in the bathroom. And your kid has to go in there, your daughter has to go in there to use the bathroom. You're standing outside because you're a guy and guys aren't supposed to go in the girl's bathroom, but this other guy that is identifying as a woman, he gets to go in the bathroom. It's just,
It's about are you serving the community, or are you serving an agenda, a political agenda? Essentially,
yeah.
because I see this as a political agenda. I see it as a means to an end. I don't think these people, I think some of the political people that get behind this, they're just using this to, push more control and more chaos on society. I don't think it has anything I don't think they really even care about these people. I think they're just using them. You know what I mean? Like Biden hires a guy that does this. You know what I mean? I don't think he really, honestly, that's my opinion. I don't think he cares about him. He just uses it to his advantage. You know what I mean? But
yeah. And here's another, and this is on the same sort of subject matter.
If you would like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue.
Anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with it.
Just literally put their hand up and say, I'm a woman. Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean,
I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say, I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status,
I think
we're
that's
talking
what
about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say, I'm a woman. How many genders are there?
2.
There are 2 genders.
Oh.
Wow. So you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are.
Well, hang on. Whoa. There are 2 genders.
Well, it's taught in.
Well, you say, well, you've literally just launched this huge defense of transgenderism. Now you've eradicated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Pierce Morgan, man.
Yeah, and he says a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, but he also says some stuff that it's right down the middle, and you have to kind of be like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of made some good points there. See,
he's like Bill Maher, he's right once in a while,
You know what I don't like? What I don't like is there's this it's real disingenuous. It's this looking at you like, that's absurd. That is, that we're not actually saying that, and it's like, no, we don't. And the thing is that as the further that this stuff goes, the more the further you're going to take this whole thing. So it is totally reasonable to desire clear definitions, to understand the terms that are being used, and then to be able to hold people to account of the structure that they established. You're the one that said that anybody can identify as anything, and that there does not need to be any corresponding biological evidence. It doesn't have to agree with science. It does not. None of that has to. I mean, now they try to pull out these obscure things about, chromosomes and stuff like this, but they're using something that happens you're talking about intersex, right? So they try to use that as a as a sort of justification. But the problem with that is intersex, people that are truly intersex are such a small percentage of the population. You do not make the exception the rule. The exception is the exception.
I don't know. I feel like that they've been around forever. Transgenders have been around. It's not like they just magically appeared the last 2 years or 5 years or whatever you want to call it. I mean, they've been around forever, and everybody had no problem living alongside them and in harmony. There was no problem.
Right.
All of a sudden now there's a problem. It's because there's a political agenda behind it. I see it as merely a hammer they use to drive the culture whatever way they want. I don't see it as anything to do with rights or any of that stuff. Transgender's been around forever, you know.
Here's
that's why I
the
find
other
the whole
thing
thing to be ridiculous. It's just like Pierce Morgan said. He said, "Why can't I identify as a black lesbian?" It's just because everybody sees how ridiculous that sounds, right? But then it's not ridiculous when it's the other stuff, right? So I don't know.
So, what were we saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh no, this is what. So this is an interesting thing, and I do think that this stuff is political, and I do think that the motivation of the folks that, I think are being used for this for the sort of grand political scheme.
Mm-hmm.
I think that a large degree of their motivation for being on the front lines and being willing to, put themselves out there like that is because it's expensive to be transgender. And so you have all of these, you've got these policies, you've got these, part of what it is that they want is they want the government, they want John Q. taxpayer to subsidize gender affirming care.
Well, what about a porn star and like wanting fake tits? I mean, isn't that the same thing? I mean,
yeah, I'm telling you. Well,
we gotta pay for that too,
Well. So the thing that I thought about wasn't even necessarily that. What I thought about was, well, I mean, everybody should just be able to have cancer treatments for free, and they should be, because that's life affirming care, or they should be able to have, or anything, or anything, or body positivity, so I need liposuction because, I need to feel good about my body. So
I like eating,
here's
and I don't want to stop eating, but I want to be skinny. So, liposuction is required for every person who wants to eat a lot, and not, so.
Yeah. And people try to act like this is, that it's, again, like that's absurd, or like, we're taking it like we're making a mockery of it. No, it's not a mockery. It's already absurd. It already doesn't make sense. And up until 5 minutes ago, we were not having any of these conversations at all. So you cannot expect people to just snap into this different paradigm. Now,
well, I mean, we're changing culture, thousands and thousands of years of tradition, into what, right?
Yeah.
But go ahead. I mean, isn't that
yeah,
what
we don't
is,
even
though?
know. So here's the thing: we don't even know what this is.
Yeah, that's it. We don't know where it's going either.
Right.
Where's this ending? Where's this landing in the end, man? Like gerbils and just half lion, half human. What the hell is this stuff? I don't know where it's going to go, man. I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't want to look at what's going to be 100 years from now. We're going to be like brains in little robot bodies and stuff walking around and saying we're she or he or whatever we want to be. I don't know what it is, man. But yeah. So yeah, it just seems crazy to me, some of it. So
all right, I'm
but
gonna
like
leave.
I said, we've had transgenders forever. I mean, everybody knew who they were and what they did, and we didn't have a problem with them being around or whatever. It's they want to be what they want to be. But now it's just become some ridiculous political thing, like accept this or else kind of thing. So
Yeah. What you got?
Oh, I don't know. I think I covered a lot of stuff already. What else do I got? I have a lot of windows open though. Well, the banks, you heard about all the banks, right? Going under and stuff. Let me show you this picture here. Okay, let me show you this picture. So we had our 2008 financial crisis. And notice the red and blue, the blue bars and the red line, right? The red line is the total assets that were lost in 2008. Look, we almost lost the same amount of assets already. His finger's actually in the way. Let me move his finger. Come on, move your finger. All right, there we go. You see that little blue speck down there?
Yep.
That's the amount of failures we've had so far in 2023. This little speck. See how many failures they had back then? And the amount of assets, we've almost equaled the amount of assets from all these failures back here with just this little speck of failures here. So just imagine if we have a lot more failures, how many assets are we talking about? And this is what Elon Musk was talking about, that the direction we're going, I think I have it around here. Here we go. The direction we're going with the Fed raising rates and everything is that we could easily fall into another Great Depression. And I think it'll be worse, actually, because it's going to be more than just America. I think it will be most of the world, or at least half the world will fall into the Great Depression with us, because we're, imagine we're like the main sort of economic vehicle in the world. We have some rising powers that are getting near equal to us. But if we fall, it's going to drag a lot of countries down. And this could cause a worldwide Great Depression. And so that's in these banks. What's interesting about these banks is they're saying that the real estate market is right on edge and can easily teeter these banks. And I feel like we're walking a tightrope right now. And just like one little thing that we think is insignificant could cause this whole thing to go down like a deck of cards. And so that's kind of what it's looking like. Hopefully, though, that doesn't happen. But I mean, honestly, how long can you keep hoping? I mean, we've been doing this forever. They kicked the can down the road for like 40 years, expecting nothing to happen. Eventually, it's just going to all come home to roost. Not having a balanced, never balancing the budget, just racking up debt, making new derivatives on investments, having fractional reserves instead of full reserves on banks. So banks went from having to actually have some collateral to like zero. They can just make money out of thin air and just loan it out. That's what it is now. And it used to be, it had to be backed by something, right? So, and that's what Biden was saying. He wants to bring back some laws to require these banks to actually have something, have some regulations and not just be able to make money out of thin air and have no regulations, because they took them off, I think 10 years ago, the regulations. And I think it was Barney Frank. Was he the one that was on the board of one of these banks? I think it was Signature or something that went under. And it was because he was the one that actually helped make the laws that removed these requirements. And then he ends up on the board of one of the big banks after he made the laws removing the requirements on the banks. So I just think, I don't know, man. I think this year we're going to see a lot more than what we've seen already. Hopefully, though, it doesn't turn out as bad as it's looking like it could become. Hopefully it turns out better. I don't know. I guess we'll see, right?
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. So here I've got one last video, and this is Kevin Samuels, and Kevin, who died about a year ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
He became a sort of household name, blew up on social media, and his whole platform was basically, was a pro man, in particular pro black man sort of kind of platform where he talked to women about basically what it was that a certain kind of man wanted, and they would ask him to evaluate them, to give them a score, the traditional 1 to 10 thing. And though he did that sometimes, that's not really what he wanted to do. So women would call into his show, and often the case would be they would be single mothers. They had 2 babies by 2 different baby daddies, and they're trying to figure out how they can get a high value man, right? So
It'd be kind of hard
anyhow,
in that situation.
so he had he had some pretty um harsh criticisms. Nothing nearly as harsh as what he was telling men 3 years prior, when he was trying to tell them what they need to do to get themselves together. But if you're talking to women, then you really, really have to be very subtle, and you can't really say anything too cutting, because it seems like you're louder. It's like the boss.
Attacking.
If the boss
Attacking.
doesn't whisper, and he just talks in a regular voice, it sounds like other people are yelling. It would be like other people are yelling. So it's that kind of thing. So anyhow, I'm going to play this, and this is pretty controversial what he's saying here, but it is what it is. I mean, you see, are you a leftover woman? That's what it's called, right?
Because in the 80s and 90s, so many women got the wrong message. Career, job, and then they thought that they could go do that, and then when they hit 27 to 35, that they could just turn around and pull a man off the tree. Now, women continue to say that there's a man shortage, but what they're not saying is it's the men they want. Women are not focusing on average guys. Let's be real, you're not focusing on an average guy. You could care less about the guy who works 3rd shift at the plant or the blue collar laborer. That is not who your first pick is. You want the white collar, 6 foot tall, attractive jawline dude. It's a sexual profession. No heat, no judgment. You are free to want what you want, but understand something, especially Generation X and late millennials. Ladies, if you are over 35, you've already had your glory days.
Yeah.
So there's this idea of quote unquote a leftover woman. And what a leftover woman in other societies, this is not a term that he invented. It's not one that Americans invented. This is a term that's used in particular in Asian countries. It's basically women that are over 27. If you're not married, if you haven't, linked up with someone of significance, like, you're about to get married, on the path to get married, like that, there's this leftover woman terminology. And of course that seems, harsh and sexist and whatever you want to say. But the reason that that is a thing in those other countries, especially Asian countries, is because, it's linked to the biological clock. Okay. So,
Right.
If you wait too long to figure out what it is that you're trying to do, as far as a family goes, you can be in real trouble later. And
Well, it takes a while to learn what to look for too in a man. And if these women are starting at age 30 to start looking, they're like pretty much like an 18-year-old girl or 20-year-old girl trying to start looking, or something that, what I mean? Like, they don't have any experience. They don't know what to look for. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good point. You're probably not going to find someone instantly. And so if you think that you have time when you don't have time, and now you're just going to wait until you get 35, okay, now I need to find a man. That's too late. It's too late.
You're going to end up with the wrong guys too, because you're going to end up with some, you know what I mean? Like, that's
you're going to end up if you do that, you're going to end up, you're going to end up with a leftover dude. Because the guys that you actually want, they're already gone. They're already off the market. They're taken. So anyhow, it's it is what it is. It's not intended to be mean-spirited.
Well,
it's
there's
more
also
intended
social
to
media.
Huh?
Go ahead. There's also
Well,
social media issues too, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it's not intended to be mean spirited. It's intended to say, look, this is what we've been doing. This is not working. Everybody's dissatisfied. When you do these surveys about the dating market, it's not just the men that are saying they're dissatisfied. Women are saying they're dissatisfied also.
I told you about what I told you about the whole tax thing, right? With back in the 80s when they started trying to get women to work, Dolly Parton singing working 9 to 5,
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
that was actually a scheme to get more tax money. I talked about it. I think I don't know if I talked about it on our live stream. I've talked about it on my business channel before. I'd have to go pull up the stuff. I don't have it in front of me, but basically it was a scheme they developed to actually be able to take more tax money out of the family. And then as soon as they did that at the exact same time that they took the dollar off the gold standard. So they knew the dollar was going to lose value. So they wanted to get both people in the family to go out to work so that they wouldn't realize that they're the one paying for all the money that's being siphoned off by these big banks. So they took the dollar off the gold standard. They started printing money in the background, giving it to their friends. And then they put out a scheme on TV to promote this idea, women should go out working, you can make you free, you'll be happy. And then what ended up happening is instead of one person in the home working, it's now two people. And if you go look at the wages actually stayed the same per family. So essentially now we have two people making the same amount of money as one person used to make because they've been printing money in the background. So it was actually on purpose. It was a scheme by bankers to actually gain money for their friends and themselves. And they tricked people by doing this thing. That was the whole intent. It wasn't about women, you need rights. So like I said, it's just like with the transgender thing. They're just using it to they use these things to actually manipulate things that they want. And it has nothing to do with your rights or what you want. It's all about manipulating you to think you want this so they can get more money. That's what it is a lot of the time.
Yeah, I actually, I feel bad for people that are actually struggling with, gender dysmorphia, folks that are really confused about their identity. That's
I've known people.
horrible.
I
That's
knew a
terrible.
couple people like that. Yeah, I knew a couple people like that, and I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, if they struggle with it, they struggle with it, man. It's not. I don't think it has anything to do with them. I think they're just using these people so they can do other things. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's I feel bad for people that are struggling with that, but if they think that this political agenda is really concerned about their well-being,
no,
they're wrong. That's not what's going on. They're using all this stuff as a way to push us as far as they can push us in whatever particular direction, and then in the destabilization, that's when you can make money. That's when there's a power grab. Yeah.
I wanted to say also, I don't have a problem with women working. That's not my point with what I was saying. My point was they knew that women would like the idea or opportunity to work, and they used it as a manipulation technique to get more money out of families and to be able to print money in the background so that they could enrich themselves. It was basically a complete, but I mean, if they were doing it for your own well-being, they wouldn't have been taking the money off the gold standard and printing the money in the background. They would have let you have all the money and you'd be making double the money in your family. They don't care about you though. They stole the money from you. So it was a complete trick. Yeah. But it's unfortunate, but that's the type of people that run the world. They don't care about you and I, they just pretend they do, so.
Yeah, folks have to work out. They have to watch out for this stuff. Yeah,
yep,
I mean, in my estimation, the government should never be trusted.
I mean,
these powers that be should never be trusted.
Unless you have it's just like when you look in the Bible, you had like 9 out of 10 kings were evil. You know what I mean? Like 1 out of 10, you might be lucky once in a while and get a good one. You know what I mean? Usually it's not the case.
All right, man. Well, I think that that wraps it up for today. Glad we could get one in. Hopefully we'll be able to do one again next week. It seems like that'll work. But yeah.
That was a pretty good show. I like that. It was fun. That was a good talk. We had a lot of good stuff to talk about there.
All right, man. Well, I will see you later. And folks, like the video on the way out, like, share, comment, subscribe, become a channel member where you'll get access to all archive videos, support independent media, super chats enabled, super thanks for the replay gang, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Dr. Thunder Music, all one word. Spell out the word doctor. And yeah, so have a good weekend, folks. Tomorrow's Friday. Be well, take care of yourself and others. Peace.